All right, fellow babies, we got a freak show setting this one up with some issues, but it's ready to go. Silly Shill Show on the EiE Network, and we're coming at you live. All right, we've got some craziness tonight, as we've got some real conspiracal masturbation coming at you with space deniers, NASA haters, and all kinds of other craziness. I'm not even going to do the video names right now. We'll take it as it comes. We've got Astronomy live with us, and we're going to have an awesome one. So I'm going to hand this one over to somebody who, just using the power of thought, barely restrained from blowing up the entire solar system and instead took his body out instead. It's Kevin Kennedy.
I mean, seriously, if I hadn't blown up my body trying to change the TV channel, I would have blown it up by now in quarantine. I'm losing my mind right now.
It was a big save. Thank you for everybody. And I notice you're playing safe. Well done. Loving it. Yep.
Gotta. Absolutely. I have to. And I got to say, there's no safer place to be right now than in high Earth orbit. So doing okay. Let's go around the room here and see what everyone's up to. First of all, Mr. Dawson, how's things in your side of the world?
Well, a little bit lonely, but that's kind of how I roll it anyway. I mean, you guys know me. I'm always at home doing my own thing, right? My son and whatnot. So it hasn't changed too much, but with him, it's a bit of a change. He can't be doing as much with his buddies, just playing in playgrounds. They're all closed and stuff. So that was a bit of a learning curve, but doing well, playing safe, and, just doing what we can to not go stir crazy on the lock-in.
All right, fair enough. Ugly German truths to Kennedy in space. Changing the TV channel. Is that what the kids call pocket polo nowadays? That's good. Let's see. We've also got Ilya Moon, Lady of Gynocracy, with us. How are you today?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. I'm happy to be here tonight. Isolation is about to be the death of me as well. But I'm making it through. Of course, looking forward to this weekend, the show tonight. We have the show tomorrow night, and then Sunday, of course, the UnCalled Four. We have some good guests coming on this Sunday, and I'm not going to kill everyone again with another Copeland Sunday. So everybody come and join and laugh and have some fun with us.
Excellent. Look forward to it. And producing tonight's show on 12 minutes of notice. Let me tell you, this guy is a champion. Manning the controls tonight, we have the Mad Scotsman, Tattie-Bogle.
All right, troops, all right. How the fuck's it going? What the fuck's happening?
How's it going? How's it going, Mr. Essential Worker?
Oh, working my arse off. Looking forward to a day off tomorrow before it's right back at it again. But in between times, having some fun with you, mob, and enjoying YouTube and stupid fucking videos, man.
Absolutely. See, this is where the social division starts, by the way. Tatty is an essential worker. He's in that class now.
Yeah, he's like one of the girls at the bar in Westworld. He's got a real long day ahead of him.
Oh boy, that's a good one. All right. And keeping an eye on the chat tonight, and this is a good time to go to you because we just got a super chat. Aimee Hogan, how are you tonight?
I am doing great, thank you. We're making the best of everything right now. Today, Matt had a great time. We were skipping the X's for that we're supposed to be standing on for social distancing, so we had a good day. So, thank you. And we did get a super chat from John Rapp for Australian $5. He says, EIE, yes, it's a war cry. Bring it on, Flurfs and Space Deniers. Oh, and good day, everyone, panel guests, and especially chat. Thank you so much, John Rapp. And I do want to welcome Astronomy Live to our show tonight. Thank you so much for coming on.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
No, thanks for having me here. I'm looking forward to it.
You're very welcome.
Speaking of Man of the Hour, Astronomy Live, how are you tonight?
Oh, I'm great. I'm still recovering from my webcast last night, tracking Comet Atlas through the sky for a few hours, but I'm feeling good. Just finished up just before the show. Just finished up processing all the data from that actually. So I'll be digging deeper into the comet, and maybe some evening we can come back and do a show just on comet conspiracy theorists, because for some reason this comet seems to be attracting the woo, and I want to battle that.
That doesn't surprise me. Yeah, because comets are like, just visually in the sky, they're weird to look at. So it's easy to create all kinds of theories on what they might actually be. And I didn't miss him, Ilya. I know what's going on. The honorary shill of the night. Big Blue, how are you doing today, sir?
Oh, I'm doing well. How are you guys? I hope everybody's being safe and not too bored. At least we have something to do, right? We can sit here and listen to stupid for a while.
That's right.
Absolutely. Before we go any further, really quickly, before this comment gets lost, Mr. Bozo had put a comment in the chat that needed to be manually approved, and I'm fascinated by it because I can't figure out what word actually got it flagged. What he said was, everyone check fake nurse Katie Shermani and her 5G COVID-19 genocide disinformation video and report, which I think is good advice. That sounds like a terrible video. I do want to check it out and possibly report it if need be. But what
Probably COVID.
COVID.
Either COVID or genocide. Genocide.
Yeah, that's a touchy one too.
What about fake nurse?
Fake nurse could do it too. That's just
fake. There's nothing wrong with a fake nurse if they're knocking on your door with some kind of, telegram like thing. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Ask Ferris Bueller.
It just sort of fascinates me that whole comment was like an algorithm minefield.
Yeah.
But so we've got some videos tonight. Sorry, I got us off track. Well, we got some videos tonight, and I know Logical Troglodyte picked some of them, and I think he's out to get me. He's not here tonight, but God damn it, I'm so angry by just the titles of them. So I think we should go ahead with them.
Well,
what's the first one you got?
This first one is sounding pretty rough, guys. Jerry Sprocket. Rockets don't work in space. Absolute proof.
Oh, holy shit.
I love when they got to put those absolute proof things on it. Like those things they've tried to disprove 100 times. They just can't figure out that it's not going to work.
Astro Rex just called us out. He says he doesn't see proper distancing happening in the panel.
we have secret NASA technology. We all actually have little force fields, so it's totally fine. We're good.
They actually they gave us the real vaccines that they don't give to you civilians.
Yeah. No, it could be the magnetic field of Saturn there of Astronomy Live is protecting us. That's what's going on. Yeah.
No, I'll tell you exactly what it is. See, rockets do work in space, but for some reason viruses don't. So we're fine. We're fine. No.
There you go. Oh man.
All right, so should we find out why rockets don't work in space, quote unquote?
Oh God, yeah.
I can hardly wait.
Okay, Blue, would you give us the traditional send off? Because holy shit, buddy, this one needs it.
Oh my goodness. Get out the oven mitts, push the monitors back out of punching range, and let's light this dumpster fire and have some fun.
Roll this, Tatty. Bring it on, buddy. Oh, no sound to us, Tatty, unless it hasn't made any yet.
Nope. Nothing yet.
Okay.
I don't think. Nothing coming up.
There's no sound in the video, guys, apparently. I'm talking to the chat. Apparently the video has no sound. So nobody worry about it. pause. No.
This says.
Wow. Well, here's the thing. I don't know much about how guns work. I know there are people on this panel who do, but I know a decent amount about how rockets work. And just from knowing that, I feel it's really, really silly to compare rockets to bullets.
Well, what do you see moving immediately after the bullet leaves the gun? There is something moving. It's the slide, which is on a spring.
Right.
And when the spring reaches its complete direct, when it finishes it taking up as much as it can, the rest of the recoil now goes into your hands, and that's when you really see the gun start to come back in your hands. But initially, the spring is taking that recoil.
Okay, so that explains the time discrepancy. Yeah, I get that. That makes sense.
Yeah, there's also the whole thing where the way a rocket is propelled and the way a bullet is propelled is a little different. Just a little.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Oh, yeah, well, loud and clear. Good.
Okay, I'm not doing that. I listened back, by the way. Jesus Christ, that sound I made a couple streams ago. Holy hell. I thought it happened because I got disconnected from Buzz-In, so I'm sending out a new code again. Sorry, guys.
Okay. Oh, and yeah, for everybody watching, we can toss some Gong Show debunking into the ring here coming up after this video. But this video we do want to let play a little bit because it's supposedly pretty ridiculous.
Buzz-In's down. Buzz-In's down. Fuck it. I sent out that code and got disconnected from that game immediately. So just at me in the green room if people need to talk.
Yeah, I'm giving up. Mine just gave up.
Fuck that noise.
Yeah. Yeah, mine just told me my connection's really slow, but I'm sorry, it just isn't. I have bandwidth. So moving along.
Yeah, let's roll the stupid.
Welcome to my club.
Oh God.
This, just a little water bottle. The wheels are just really there so it can slide. Put a little air pressure in here. The air pressure, which is obviously much higher in the bottle.
Okay, first off, I can see why the other part was silent because he's horrible at audio. I mean, what the hell is this, man? Number two, now we're blowing water bottles around on the ground that have been taped to, what looks to be oversized Lego-style wheels with an air gun. I'm not sure this guy's batting 100 here. Like, or what's the saying, right? But something was left back at home when he came out to the garage to play, and he really should have brought that piece. Holy.
Let me quickly do a Google search here, because how much would an empty bottle weigh, you figure?
Oh, maybe 4 ounces.
4 ounces? All right, well,
Yes,
the Falcon 9 weighs about 1.4 million kilograms.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's got a hell of a lot more propellant in it than that bottle full of compressed air.
Yeah. That's like putting a couple of fire extinguishers on the back of your car and going, "Oh, watch this."
There are a couple good comments in the chat too. Sean137 says pea short of a pod. Ugly German Truth says he's 2 sandwiches shy of a picnic. That's great.
One other thing that someone said was Arthur Fucksake said cutting edge technology in use. I say careful, DKG. He'll be stealing your job.
And we just got another super chat. See, I told you guys about this. The Germans are angry. You want to read that, Aimee?
Sure. It's from Mr. Present 99 for €5. He says, just FYI, think about the poor Germans when planning the release time of your streams. And he put some laughing faces. Thank you so much, Mr. President.
That's a good one.
You got tomorrow's show earlier, buddy. Tune in.
Astronomy Live. Can you imagine if this is like how Von Braun and the boys came up with their ideas? We wouldn't, we wouldn't even be in orbit yet.
Von Braun sitting in his garage with a water bottle and an air gun.
Well, we wouldn't have even made it out of the atmosphere yet if this was our chief engineer in charge of all that. I think it goes to show, like we said at the beginning, it's always these videos that put absolute proof in the title. They're doing it to compensate for the fact that actually the video is terrible. Like, I've got rocket footage of a Falcon Heavy turning around in the vacuum of space, turning on its engines, reversing its velocity, and coming back to land. I didn't title that video Absolute Proof Rockets Work in Space, because you know what? When you actually have a good video, the evidence speaks for itself.
I was actually thinking that the videos that you and Reds have done of launches are absolute proof that rockets do work in space, because you guys have filmed them in space. Like when the gases are it's the gases expanding that does it. Those ones where the sun illuminates the gases and you see them expand to a point where you can't even see it anymore, indicating it's in a vacuum.
Well, yeah, that's another great proof that it is in a vacuum. The gases expand, and the other thing you notice is that, you notice this real well with my Falcon Heavy footage, that the flame stops glowing behind the rocket. You see it when it comes off the pad, the flame's glowing real bright, and as it goes up higher and higher and higher, shortly before the boosters come off, the flame stops glowing, and it's just sort of translucent, looks like smoke. That's because there's no ambient oxygen to burn residual fuel that's in the exhaust. That's because it's in space now, or at least it's above the majority of the atmosphere, almost all of the atmosphere. So that's another proof that it really is in a vacuum. And yet, those boosters are able to turn around, reverse their velocity, and come back and land. And Reds and I have filmed that multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so far this whistle dick has managed to prove, absolutely prove that Newton's third law is correct. For every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. Okay.
Yep.
And eventually we're going to get to that part with the rocket, because it's the same thing that makes it work, for God's sakes.
Right. I like that name, Whistle Dick.
That was awesome.
100%.
We also got a super chat from Mr. Victory for $2.99. He says, screw the Falcon 9. He has a bottle with wheels. Thank you so much, Mr. Victory.
That's awesome. Well, shall we let this guy take the whistle out of his pants and continue to blow on it?
Love that skin-flavored flute.
Then it is out here, wants to equalise, boom, immediately rushes out to equalise and pushes off the air that's all around, the pressure that's all around, shoots forward. Okay. So what we can do is put a little shield in here, a little column, and this will interrupt the surrounding air pressure, which is all angles. It's not there now. So when the air rushes out.
Are we watching like a Boy Scouts craft thing? I don't understand.
I think this guy,
Pressure isn't there anymore because of a cardboard tube.
I think this guy's father just last week finally let him play with the garden hose for the first time.
Where is he going with this? Now we've got a cardboard condom on the bottle rocket. How in the holy hell is this supposed to go? I'm going on mute.
I don't understand why is all the air?
I mean, what I think he's trying to do is give it a bit of like a an extra push, like he had his thumb over the garden hose. Look at the extra pressure now. But his system doesn't really load the bottle and then let it release. Like, he's got this so fucked up, it's not funny.
I like what Ugly German True said. He said, "Why does it look like Dead Kennedy in space sitting on a toilet?"
And then we got a good super. Yeah, I'm sorry. We just got a good super chat from John Rapp for Australian $2. He says, "Mr. President 99, come to Oz. 16 hours in future of IE of the EiE Network." Thank you so much, John.
I got one here for this guy. So, you know what you're actually seeing here is the first official unboxing video of the official Dead Kennedy in Space take-home play set. It comes with your own bottle, 2 sets of wheels, 2 paper towel rolls, and all the fun you can pack into one day. Order now. Stock is limited.
$99.99.
Can I wait for the Black Friday sale?
Yeah. No returns, no warranties, served up as is.
And no insurance if the package breaks up in orbit.
Yeah. Oh. Okay, well, let's let Mr. Dick whistle.
Let's see what happens when there isn't this air pressure pushing in from all directions simultaneously everywhere.
Right.
When that doesn't happen, what happens to the thrust? Again, put a lot more in. Go nowhere. Got no air pressure surrounding the thrust. So again, really high.
This dumb fuck is gonna kill me.
Pause. I don't think I can take this. This is like this is like the strawest of straw men. Whereas his pseudo experiment doesn't consider any other variables going on. It's going out with the intention to prove that rockets don't work in space pretty clearly, because he's saying, well, it's the air pressure. That's why this is happening. It's because of the lack of air pressure. No other possible reason. I've eliminated all other factors because I'm sitting in my garage with a $2 bottle that isn't pressurized the way a fucking rocket is.
He's by putting the cardboard on, he's creating an airspace in the bottle that refuses to really pressurize past the point that his weak little thing can do it, and as such he achieves nothing. Like the only thing this guy has demonstrated is the depth of his knowledge or lack of knowledge is, unbelievable. Like he's what's that stupid show about the fucking hole somewhere in Eastern Canada? They keep digging on some island, but they're going to find this fucking idiot at the bottom.
A money pit?
Oak Island.
The Oak Island.
Oak Island.
Yeah, Oak Island. Yeah, when they finally get to the bottom of that hole, they're just going to find this idiot. That's it, man.
Well, we had a couple of super chats there, 2 in a row. Amy, did you want to take those?
Yes, please, if I could. Okay, we've got the first one from Dave Hansen for $5, and he says that tube causes the Crushman effect. Amateur rocketeer here, he says. And then Mr. Victory for $2.99 says cardboard condoms, protection from derpy. Thank you so much to both of you.
Should we let it... anybody got anything? Should we let it run a bit more and see if he does actually try to tie in anything that, has any meat on the bone?
Is he going to go any further than my bottle rocket disproves all of SpaceX and NASA and ISRO and JAXA and China's space agency and all the fucking others?
I like what Anamorphic Non said. He prefers this experiment with Mentos and Coke.
I really want to see what he's going to do with the ventilated condom.
You know what? This may be a tasteless joke to make right now, but Mad Mike builds a better rocket than this guy.
No, this is the right channel for that. I thought it was funny.
No disrespect to Mad Mike. He did what he wanted to do. He was just dumb at it.
Hey, he took it by the horns and stepped right up. Unfortunately, the bull bit back. So, what are you going to do? But yeah, okay, let's see what this guy does because, there is more apparatus laying there in wait. It's only going to get worse. I mean, look who's driving.
Okay. Now we can test this. Same column in with holes. Great suggestion from Pete and Pete. Recommend checking their channel out. Take the nonsense apart one episode at a time. Excellent. Here we go.
Aye.
This one is for you. Air pressure is immediately filling this.
Nice stud belt, you fucking dweeb.
Did you see that?
I've had a stud belt since I was 17 years old.
Oh, this guy probably still gets on the phone with his buddies and has arguments on whether Judas Priest is better than Iron Maiden. I mean, holy fuck, grow up.
No contest, man. Waiting for the win.
Yeah.
This is too much. I can't get over it. I fucking love rockets, and I've watched so many videos of rocket launches over the years that everything he's doing right now, I'm just like, but there's rockets, but there's rockets, but there's rockets, but there's rockets, and you can see them.
And the part that's sad though here, guys, is check this out now, right? Come on. I mean, most people understand there's more to a rocket being true or not true than this pathetic demonstration. So Astronomy Live, you're right into this stuff real big. I mean, isn't it completely terribly sad that a grown adult can think he's actually, by recording this video and putting it up, is actually one-upping those who have taken the time to educate themselves to build said rockets?
It demonstrates a certain the Dunning-Kruger effect taken to an extreme, but I think it demonstrates massive ignorance of how many people are involved with putting things in orbit, launching rockets. It's not just governments. There are private companies all over the world. SpaceX is, of course, one of the most popular. There's also Rocket Lab. There's going to be Blue Origin soon, hopefully launching stuff into orbit. I mean, there's all these private companies. There's all these other space agencies, ESA, JAXA, Roscosmos, etc. All these countries would have to be on it, and all these private companies all over the world would have to be in on it. And he thinks he's disproving that by taking a plastic bottle with wheels glued to it and putting paper towel rolls on the end of it and letting out some air. I mean, okay, so just looking at his setup, there's some fundamental problems with the rigor of this setup. When he's got the paper towel roll on there, it's so long, you notice it's drooping. And so the thrust vector is sort of being deflected by the paper towel roll. The amount of air pressure he's pushing through there is not that high. And so it's being directed down where it's not as effective. Now, the paper towel roll that's got holes in it, well, guess what? You just made a vent for it. So the air can still come out straight out the back. I would think that would have an effect at making it more effective at moving in the first place. It's got nothing to do with whether a rocket will work in a vacuum. It doesn't address that question. It's addressing the real question. It's addressing the question of, does this stupid plastic bottle with wheels on it move when I do all these stupid things to it?
Yeah.
I like what DKG Custom said. He tagged me. He said, I believe historically there's been nearly 30,000 rockets to at least reach the Kármán line. 30,000. I'm actually surprised it isn't more, to be honest.
Yeah, and we've got, and if you don't believe that it's real, you can come down to the Cape and see it. Of course, maybe not right now, not such a good idea, but when we don't have a global pandemic, you can come down to the Cape and see it in person. And, you can see rockets turning around, coming back and landing. Reds and I have done it. I mean, Reds has done it with just a P1000 on a regular tripod. You don't even need the expensive telescope stuff that I've got. And even with a $400 telescope, you can do the same thing. And so you can see this happen in real time, in person, and see for yourself it's not faked. He mentioned Pete and Pete. Pete and Pete, I remember that channel. That was all over my channel. He was all over my comment section for my first Falcon Heavy video. It might have been even earlier than that. It might have been one of my Falcon 9 videos where I first captured, a boost back followed by landing in one shot. But it was one of those early videos, and he was all over my comment section, hopping mad, saying that my videos were fake and almost going down the GM truth route. So, these people don't accept evidence that proves them wrong, and then they produce really poor quality evidence that lacks any rigor at all, that doesn't address the question that they're trying to answer, and they ignore anything that contradicts them. So they end up pigeonholing themselves in these ridiculous false belief systems like this. It's painful to watch.
Oh, it's pathetic. It's sad. Aimee, did you need to get in there?
Yes, please, with that super chat. We've got a great super chat from Mr. Present 99 for €2. He says, I'm converted. Nah, just tired with a drooling face. Thank you so much, Mr. Present.
Now, before we let him play again, the only question I have is, will he put the honest ending of this video up for us on YouTube? And that's when somebody opens the door to this garage and says, fuck, you again? Get out of my garage, buddy. Let's see what happens. Let's run it here. Let's see what happens. God damn it. This guy's funny.
This is essentially inside there is the same mesh pressure out here. There's no stopping it. There's no restriction. It moves. Again.
Body up.
It's like watching Clover turn far.
What a pause. What a beautiful comparison in your own video to go straight from your stupid little bottle rocket to a fucking Soyuz. Look at how much effort has clearly gone into that rocket.
I mean, there's kids who watch Reading Rainbow on a daily basis who would watch this video and they would, Mommy, what's the stupid man doing?
I was watching that video there, man. I was just thinking, that was a really, really shitty Christmas.
Oh, that's hilarious. Sounds like shout out time.
It does. Thank you. Anthony Purcell for $5 there says there is literally no optical evidence flurfers will accept, which sort of drives me towards seismic arguments. What do you guys think?
Oh, that's not a bad one.
Yeah, thank you, Anthony.
As GS Geology said, they don't listen to seismic arguments either. It doesn't matter that the P and S wave distribution of the epicenter of an earthquake clearly indicates a spherical object with a core that refracts things that go into it. That doesn't matter to them because we've only ever dug, 4 miles deep? So we haven't seen it for ourselves, so it's not real.
That's awesome.
Yes, and we just got another one from Mr. Victory for $1.99. He says it was like watching the right stuff. Thank you so much.
But you know that transition the dude just did there. That was literally like the transition of the bone to the fucking nuclear 2001. You know what I'm going at, right?
Oh, that's great. Yes, that was the best match cut I've seen since 2001.
Kubrick, this guy is not. That was amazing. Well, should we let him play a bit more? And it looks to me like we'll roll the gong out after this video, right?
Oh, we better.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, we might not get to do it buzzer style, so we'll just do it with put one in the chat if you want this guy's ass booted the curb, and we'll just keep a rough count or some bullshit.
You know what?
We'll figure it out.
I have an idea. If he doesn't let us get to fucking first stage separation of that Soyuz, I don't give a shit about the rest of this video.
Ooh. What do you think, Astronomy? That's a good call, eh? If he fucks it up, he's gone.
Yeah, I want to see that Korolev cross.
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay, buddy. You got it on the line here, Mr. Victim. Let's see what he's got. Let's see what he does. Bitch.
Look at that beautiful thing.
That's gorgeous. It is.
That was the watermark.
Excuse me.
Bottom.
You're very zoomed in to make that claim, sir. Okay, we go at probably a minute. Yeah, correct. Correct.
So you can see, he just can't understand. Firework.
Shit. Pause.
What a fuck, eh?
Good job demonstrating how a gravity turn works, dickhead.
You see this so often. They don't understand. You don't get to space by just launching straight up and reaching a certain altitude, and then you shut off your engines and suddenly you're floating. That's not how you reach orbit. But they don't seem to understand that. Of course, you have to build up horizontal velocity to counteract gravity and to fall around the edge of the Earth. They don't seem to understand that. They don't understand the very basics, and so they're criticizing from a place of ignorance.
Right.
Yeah. You know what? All you need to do is play Kerbal. Play Kerbal, build a rocket, try to launch it straight up and see what happens.
Right.
You might
That
eventually
video
reach
game is
orbit.
not real.
You might eventually reach orbit if you don't turn until you get to space, but you're going to use a shit ton of fuel.
Oh.
I mean, you could do this with the Orbiter Spaceflight Simulator too, which actually simulates, the Earth, the actual size of the solar system, and all that. I know you can do that with Kerbal with mods, but straight out of the box, you can do that with Orbiter Spaceflight
Yeah,
Simulator.
Orbiter is like the
Yeah, it's the Mac Daddy of simulating real rockets. And here's the thing, even if they say, well, that's just a simulation. Okay, but here's the thing. Is it internally consistent? Does it work with the globe model? Yes, it does. And how do you reach orbit in that model? You reach orbit by pitching over and building up a ton of horizontal velocity, about 7.5 kilometers per second. And so what does that look like from the ground? It looks like this. You see the rocket pitching over. It's completely consistent with what we would expect given a globe.
Right.
Exactly.
Go ahead, Amy.
Thank you. I've got 2 super chats. One from John Rapp for Australian $2 says real rockets really rock, and he is right. They are so cool. And then we just had one from Punchy for $2 Canadian. He says real rocket launches have curves. Thank you very much to the both of you.
Oh, I just remembered. Just from Punchy saying that real rocket launches have curves. I just remembered that the ultimate proof against rockets going back down into the water is the space shuttle launch that was captured from a plane. It's great. You can see it do the gravity turn. You can see it go up 45 degrees and just keep going up at 45 degrees, because it doesn't change until well after first stage separation and well after the Kármán line, I'm pretty sure.
Nice. We should show that coming up sometime. That'd be really, really cool. I'll go over it.
I can grab it really quickly because I've seen it.
Yeah. Should we let this moron finish? What do you guys think? Anybody need it in there? I'm thinking, should we let him just run it a little bit longer? He didn't interrupt the rocket launch yet, even though he's talking bullshit over it. So, we'll give him that little bit, and then we'll go to the next one.
Oh, sure. Why not?
Or not.
Yeah. All right. Get your rubber boots on. Firework. I hate this guy. Of misunderstanding. This is just killed it. This is just stupid now. This is so much misunderstanding and nonsense. And if I have to read the word firework watching that rocket again, I just might fucking wreck something over here. Holy.
You know what? As a matter of fact, Tatty, are you able to queue up that video I sent you in the green room?
2 seconds and I'll do it.
Sure. Yeah. No. We'll talk for a minute. I just wanted to see if you could, because I think that's a perfect note to end the video on.
Cool.
Because that was just a whole lot of not understanding a single thing about rocket science. As a couple people are saying, 510 miles per hour. No, sir.
Yeah. What the hell? Like, I skimmed that quickly. I didn't really read it. And all I saw was incompetence and misunderstanding on an unbelievable level. And I just had to call it. I was like, forget this. This is dumb.
I know, because it's so dumb. Even I know that passenger aircraft can go faster than 510.
Yeah.
A rocket? They go. Yeah, not even a French.
I mean, once it's in orbit, a rocket is going what, 4 kilometers a second?
7.5.
7.5.
17.
Yeah, once it's in orbit, it's at 7.5.
For low orbit.
About 17,500 miles an hour.
Oh, that's a funny super chat.
Can I read it?
Yes, go ahead.
510, 17.5. I mean, that's close. Yeah, close.
And Anamorphic Mind for $5 said, watching Dead Kennedy trying to dock is more entertaining than this.
That's funny. That was
I put up a 2.5-minute video of me failing to dock in Kerbal. That video was originally 45 minutes long.
Why am I not surprised?
What did you name? What did you call it? Persistence?
Nikki Daly says that we should start a meme about that dead Kennedy can't dock.
Oh no.
That's funny, man. That video was just unbelievably off the mark. Like, you can't get something so hopelessly wrong on that level and then turn around and somehow be able to actually record a video and upload it to YouTube. How did the two come together? How does that even work?
We had another super chat there as well.
Yes, we did. Mr. Victory for $1.99 says it's not rocket surgery, it's brain fart science. Thank you so much, Mr. Victory.
Is it possible? Is it possible this guy's a little bit like flat out and he's like, just taking the piss, as they say, Like,
could be.
I think he could be sincere. I really do. I think he could be sincerely that ignorant to it. I mean, that it repeats all the points I've seen before, and it seems consistent with the belief systems that certain flat earthers have. Now, some of them, of course, are posed themselves, but I think this guy could be serious. I mean, who else would clown themselves like that in their garage with a plastic bottle and cardboard tube? I think you have to have a certain level of ignorance to even be willing to do that and publicly share it.
Right.
Yeah.
I have 2 words for you: Daniel Pratt.
Yeah, right. You know, that's what I was going to say. But he does have that underlying anger and exasperation that people are so stupid not to see it his way. Like, this guy really had that. So, you know, it would. He sounds like a believer.
Dare I
tell you
say
what.
that I think I could watch Pratt's videos before this dude's videos?
Well, I'll tell you what. In case he is serious, Tatty has a video queued up that disproves everything he's saying about the rocket allegedly trying to go back down, and I think it's a beautiful video, and we should cue that up.
Yeah, let's roll this shit. This looks awesome. I'll shut up too.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. No, that's all right. Go ahead. You see the bright light back there?
For everyone's information, this is the final launch of Discovery on STS-133. That's all.
Hold on. I screwed up.
Uh-oh.
Give me 2.
Oh.
Black hoops.
Well,
Try again.
while the video's off, so that I can say it more clearly, this is the someone was flying from Orlando, Florida, and they had the rare opportunity to be able to watch Discovery's final launch as it embarks on STS-133.
And also, while we're waiting, I just wanted to say, did you see that beautiful curve?
Yeah, exactly. Gotta love those curves.
That's right.
Cool, try that again.
All right. Tatty 2.0.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. No, that's all right. Go ahead. You see the bright light back there? Incredible. Wow. Yeah, it's in the camera. Look out.
Burning hard through max Q, and it's not working, is it?
That's just screwing up something chronic, you know.
Yeah, what the hell, eh? The world can't handle just a little bit of stay-home usage. The back ends of everything just fall apart, you know?
Screen capture's not getting it. I'll try one last way.
Okay.
All right. Well, if we can't show it, I'll just put it in the chat.
Yeah, I mean, if it happens, it happens, right? What are you gonna do?
Reset here, man.
But,
By hook, I'm a fucking cook.
I've been working on my history of the space shuttle series, so this particular video I'm really fond of, and I've been thinking of it a lot these days. We also have a super chat from Mr. President 99. Did you want to read that, Amy?
Yes, please. If I could. Mr. President 99 for €10 says to upload videos or do comments in YouTube is way too easy. They should add the 3 questions to it, starting with, you have an equilateral triangle with the sides. That should help. Thank you so much, Mr. President.
I love it. That was a great one.
I'm going to need a triangle calculator.
Oh, too funny. That's awesome.
I should dig out my son's math homework that had that in there. He's learning about triangles and it had a triangle thing. I should bring that out and I should film us doing that and just put that on my channel and say, here you go, flurfers.
Yeah. Oh, Pratt and InRem and a few of them would get together and say, look, this sorcery, they're teaching it to their children. You know?
Look at that evil woman doing that to that child.
One more shot,
One last try.
Okay.
One more shot, please.
Yep. Oh, sorry. No, that's all right. You see the bright light back there? Incredible. Wow. Still see it? Yep, it's in the camera. Look how fast that's going, man. Look how fast. Are you getting it on video? Yep.
Yeah, she's going fast.
Yeah, folks, space shuttle's going off the right side of the aircraft right now. Those of you on the right side of the aircraft, you can see the space shuttle.
Wow.
If you get on the left side of the aircraft, you can probably see people on the right side of the aircraft looking at the space shuttle.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Come on, they're right, buddy. That's great.
Can you still see okay?
Yep, thank you.
Going back down.
Faster than us.
Now listen, we don't want to have anybody complain because we were late. See, y'all got to see that. Then you can complain because we were late. Got it? All right. Drinks are on the house, too.
Yeah, pan over real quick so I can get a full shot of the ground.
Guys, that thing is gone to space.
It sure has.
It's going. It's going.
All right, well, I think that's good. What do you think?
Oh, yeah. I'm still in awe.
That was one of the final missions for one of the orbiters, right? Which one was that?
Discovery.
Discovery. Okay.
Final flight of Discovery.
That's beautiful.
Because I know I got a picture of Endeavour docked to ISS for the last time, and Atlantis had docked to ISS for the last time. I think I missed Discovery, but yeah.
Oh, that's gorgeous. What is it, like moon transits or solar transits or?
No, just direct tracking.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah, my best one actually came out with the last one, fortunately, STS-135. I missed the launch due to a problem in the lab. I was going to go, and then I couldn't go. So I got really desperate, and there were no nighttime passes of the ISS, but there was a daytime pass. And so I set up the telescope while it was still dark out in the morning. And then when the sun rose, I just left it running. And then the space station passed overhead at about, 9 a.m. And I tracked it in the broad daylight sky and actually caught, you could clearly see it, the shuttle docked to ISS on STS-135 for the final shuttle mission. It's one of my best videos, honestly. So that was amazing. So yes, it's clearly going to space. We can see it going to and from the space station.
Yes.
Exactly.
Awesome.
That's amazing.
Those are some of my favorite shots ever, is the shuttles docking to the station. And until we get a really cool reusable spacecraft again, we're never going to get those. And it really frustrates me.
I know.
Aimee, you need to jump in there?
Yes, please, if I can. John Rapp gave us Australian $5, and he says, my old one, Fleet Logic, Moon and Earth's atmosphere. Rockets do have something to push on. We could have gone to the moon. Two wrongs make a right. Thank you so much, John.
Right on, John. Awesome shout, man. Awesome. So what do you guys think? We've got a video. Okay, so this is YouTube channel Reality Analyst, NASA's Planet Pluto joke. I'm not kidding. Now the thing is it's a 1 minute video. So do we just let it go for the full? Hey, Tatty?
Not even going to get that. I'm going to stop at 45 seconds.
Okay, so do we just let it run and then just go crazy afterwards? What do you guys think?
Sure.
Yeah, go with me.
Okay, so everybody, face protection and monitor protection is still in order. This is going to be the full run. We're not pulling back, so dive in, Tatty. Oh, God, here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your 5-second warning.
You fucker.
That's too funny.
That's New Horizons, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's the dog, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's about as much.
Holy fuck. Well, the obvious CGI.
Oh, it's obvious, eh?
I'm sure this is being said by somebody with more than enough qualifications to point out that it's obviously CGI. Holy. I mean, it's probably like, ask them what CGI stand for. Oh, it's when they use computers to like fix the photos, and make them fake.
My favorite is when they film spacewalks in pools and then somehow green screen them. Like, because that's how green screens work. Like you can just drop, here's how they think it works. You film anything ever, and then you drop that into an editor and you put on a filter that says green screen, and that just magically makes it what you want it to look like. Yeah. No, that's not how chroma key works. You couldn't even blue screen that shit because it's full of blue.
Yeah. And just because there's green behind it doesn't mean you just click the button. A lot of times, like, all you have to do is look at a Unirock screen. The problem he has with his chair and everything in his green screen, right? It's not easy to set up, especially for some people. But who am I to say, right?
It was Unirock.
Vaguely rings a bell. Something about drama and racism. I don't know.
And douchebaggery.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go back to, we don't want to get into that level of depth of stupid. Let's stick with like NASA deniers and stuff. They're not as stupid as that other guy. We'll stick with them.
You say that, but our next video is called Moon Landings Hoax Sounds in Vacuum.
So before we move on to the next video, I just want to interject real quick because we're about to get another proof that the New Horizons probe is actually real. I don't think many people know this, but coming up in just a couple weeks, on April 22nd and April 23rd, New Horizons, the probe, is going to take pictures of two stars, Proxima Centauri and Wolf 359, for people both in the northern and southern hemisphere to participate in a program to measure the parallax of relatively nearby stars using amateur telescopes. So because New Horizons is so far out there beyond Pluto now, there's going to be way more parallax present in those images than would be from just observing from Earth as we go around the sun. And so with just an amateur telescope, you'll readily be able to measure the parallax of nearby stars like Wolf 359 and Proxima Centauri. I'm planning to take some pictures of Wolf 359, hopefully as close as possible to the same moment in time that New Horizons takes them. And then we're going to compare those pictures side by side and see the motion of Wolf 359 relative to the background stars and be able to measure its actual distance.
That's fantastic.
That's awesome.
Fantastic. So where is New Horizons right now? Is it out in the Kuiper Belt somewhere then?
Yeah, it's out beyond Pluto. Actually, I can pull that up right now and see how distant it is. Heavens Above has a fantastic little.
You can probably live track it the way you can with Voyager, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the spacecraft escaping the solar system page on heavens-above.com covers it. And so they show the distance from Sun for New Horizons is currently just shy of 47 AU. It's 46.959 astronomical units, traveling relative to the Sun at 13.958 kilometers per second.
Wow.
Awesome.
Wow.
That's incredible.
That's amazing.
That's a big per second number, man. Wow.
Spectacular. I love that.
You know what's a really cool thing to do is the Voyager probe. You can or both of them. You can live track those as well, right? And there's this wonderful phenomenon that happens where occasionally the distance between Earth and the probes will decrease during a certain time of year because the Earth is moving in the same relative direction and faster than the probes, so it appears to briefly close the gap.
Yep. The other thing you can see with the Voyager probes, if you ever go to JPL's site and get ephemeris for the predicted position of Voyager in the sky, you'll see it shift back and forth over the course of the year. That's a massive amount of parallax because it's in our solar system. As we go around the sun, Voyager's kind of taken almost a straight shot out of here. And so you'll see it wobble back and forth in the sky due to our motion around the sun.
That's amazing.
Cool.
And we just got a super chat from Mr. Victory, too, for $2.99. He says, if you turn Pluto upside down, it's Bean and Frank's. Thank you, Mr. Victory.
Yeah, I mean, what we're talking about here really is retrograde motion, right? And that's like, such a basic heliocentric proof that I still have yet to hear any amount of decent answer to, anything resembling a decent answer to, why does Mars move backwards in the sky sometimes? Like, no.
Yeah, because you got to go back to that little swirly, whirly type solar system map. That was just a horrific joke. Like, how? What's making it do that? Because if you take the hand of God out of the equation and look to the physics, it ain't happening that way, man. Not a chance.
That's just it. The closest explanation I've got is Nathan Thompson yelling that we don't know what the lights in the sky are. And I'm like, fuck you. We know exactly why they move the way they do. You have no explanation.
Yeah.
Like pretty colors because God.
Yeah, just because he's scared to masturbate alone in the dark doesn't mean that we have to ignore science. Screw that. Like, I don't know what his problem is, but I just can't stand that kind of stuff. We don't know what yes, we do. You're just too stupid to listen. There, dumb. Said it.
Should we let this sounds in space nonsense go on?
Well,
why not?
Well, one thing for the viewers, I mean, in space, no one can hear you scream.
All-time favorite sci-fi horror film.
Poseidon 63 made a good point. He says discovery and exploration is the reason why humanity has progressed to where we are today. And that's right.
Yeah.
Great shout. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, we'd just be a bunch of, lower primates bouncing around a black obelisk.
All right, let's let it go then.
Or a monolith, that's it, yeah.
You see, the vibration of my voice box makes the air vibrate between us. Then when the air vibrates your eardrum, you hear what I'm saying. But maybe you've seen a demonstration of a bell under a glass jar. With normal air inside the jar, you could hear the bell clearly. But when the vacuum pump drew the air out of the jar, there was nothing inside to carry the vibrations of the bell. Nothing until the air was let back into the jar.
Grade science lesson. Can we keep going?
The camera, you got your photo numbers. And this is clear tube number 2. Okay, just the fact you're almost driving without a hammer. But if you'll hand it to me, I'll get it in a second. I'm going to take a couple more shots of this before we leave. Get all in, I get the pictures. Alright? Driving in real easy, Houston.
Sounds in space.
For the love of God,
Pause. Yeah. He didn't play any clip of sound.
Well, right at the end. Right at the very end, there was the clank of a hammer. And that's because the guy's holding the hammer and it's coming through. He's wearing the suit. The microphone's in the suit. And therefore, the vibration and as such, the sound carries. This is so simple. It's not funny.
It'd be the same thing as like if you're sitting on the space station and something bumps into it, you're going to hear something bump into the station.
Yeah.
They'll also probably be dead soon, but that's another issue.
Yeah. But he's in an atmosphere in his suit, and as such, the mic picks up the sound.
You mean fucking vacuum inside his spacesuit? I thought he was breathing on vacuum.
Oh, come on. Wow. Now, what's going to happen here? Is the guy going to get bonked because they couldn't move the arm properly? Somebody was drunk?
Right.
No, I'm just kidding.
So I mean, we've got an astronaut on the Canadarm, and he's probably going to have something that's going to clank against his suit. I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Perfect example of that. You've seen the GoPro footage, right, from the space station when they're on spacewalk and they got a GoPro with them. I bet you anything they'll play that clip because there's tons of noise because he's got a ton of tools on his belt that are constantly clanking around. They're just attached with tethers all over the place, and so you hear clank, 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 clank the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you'll see, you know, like some clamp thing that's floating free in front of the astronaut. You'll see them grab that. Nothing.
Mr. Victory just said, you know, this guy's making this video wearing a lampshade and a dog collar. It's from 50 Shades of Derp.
Yeah, I mean, if this guy actually wanted to know, instead of just point the finger and say, see, I'm smarter, he could have found out that there is like absolutely simple explanations to why the microphone picks up the sound in these situations. This is easily. Well, let's have another one then, because Apollo footage is super easy. It's old, so it sounds like crap, right? Yeah,
easy. Well, oh shoot, I guess we gotta deal with this before we get back to the video. Mr. President.
Yeah, he's got great shouts. These are awesome.
They are. Thank you. Mr. President 99 for €5 says the problem is you use too big words for these guys. Try visual aid like SpongeBob and stuff so they might get it. Thank you so much, Mr. President.
Okay. Well, yeah, then in that case, let's beat some real science into flat pizza land, imagination land, and get this done.
We really have to do SpongeBob like Nathan Thompson.
He's ruined SpongeBob for me forever.
For real, like seriously.
It's upsetting.
Is it just me that's creeped out that a guy who goes up to school kids in a playground has SpongeBob toys laying around? I don't know.
Yep.
Something about that just gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Something weird about that. But I want to point out, this is something that has driven me insane. It was the first thing that got under my skin with Hip Hop Hippie. The way these people use the word cartoon. It is so unbelievably frustrating. Because I showed Hip Hop Hippie a video of light being filmed with a slow motion camera, right? With a high speed camera, rather. It's a camera at MIT, one of the fastest cameras in the world. It can film at, I think, 2 billion frames per second. And so they put water with a little bit of milk to dilute it into a water bottle. They fire light through it, and then they took a picture of the bottle in light and overlaid that onto just the image of just the light, because that's all the camera picks up. And you see it move through the bottle at 2 billion frames per second. And he looked at that and he goes, well, okay, if you like believe that cartoon, man. I was so fucking pissed off. I was like, you can do this yourself, asshole. This is MIT. This is not fucking Area 51. This is not hidden technology.
I need to thank some new members. Earlier at the beginning of the stream, William Foley joined, so thank you so much, William. And also, quit asking me to sprinkle them chesticles. Welcome to the both of you as members. Thank you so much for your support.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, guys.
Chesties, welcome to the club.
A name that we have to keep track of because it never changes.
yeah, no doubt.
All right, should we hear what noise there is on this astronaut's EVA on the Canadarm, courtesy of my country?
Yeah, I mean, he picked up a basket of stupid, so let him get slap happy with it. Might as well.
Odd to have a hammer or a metal tool and bang it against something and hear absolutely nothing. You can, sound won't travel in a vacuum, so there you are outside and you could be hitting something, no sound at all.
In space, since there's no atmosphere, there's no air, if you bang on something while you're doing your spacewalk, you will not be able to hear them.
That's fine.
And this leads us to the dilemma of our final segment. All modern astronauts, such as Piers Sellers and Mike Massimino, claim to hear absolutely nothing when they're out on the International Space Station in the vacuum, banging away with metal tools and objects. Whereas during the Apollo missions, all kinds of sounds have been recorded that should not be possible if they are on the moon in the vacuum of space.
This is Mission Control Houston. We want to welcome you to NASA Television's live coverage from the International Space Station Flight Control Room as we get ready for another spacewalk by the crew of Expedition.
Okay, copy.
Notice the complete silence during this modern EVA at the International Space Station. If the astronauts aren't speaking, you hear dead silence.
Correct.
And I show the arm is safe. Copy, thank you.
That's cool.
Good.
The major
You're telling me that footage from the 60s sounds shitty and you're surprised. and you keep just using footage of people hitting things, which you're going to hear as we've already explained.
Well, yeah, there's that, and there's also the fact that, okay, you're assuming that the spacesuits from the 1960s during the Apollo program, although they do share a lot of technology with the modern spacesuits. However, microphones, voice-activated systems have gotten a little more advanced, and that faint thud of a hammer that you could barely hear from them being in contact with the rock they're smacking, and in contact with the hammer they're smacking, and in contact with the ground between the rock and the hammer they're smacking, allowing vibrations to travel through the suit. That may not be enough to activate the voice-activated systems of a modern spacesuit, which you can really only hear them when they're breathing heavy or they're actually saying something. They seem to be, just from those short clips, better at filtering out extraneous noise and feedback. Yeah. The Apollo tapes, you can hear feedback from mission control in their microphone. Basically coming in through their headset and then going back over the line through their microphone. And so you can actually, and people have done this, you can measure the distance, not only the distance from the Earth to the moon using that delay, but actually the eccentricity in the moon's orbit, the ellipticalness of the moon's orbit as the moon changes its distance over the course of some of the longer missions by continually measuring the distance to the moon using the feedback of mission control getting picked up by their microphone and coming back to Earth.
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome. That's so awesome.
That is awesome. Thor Logic of the Gods had a...
Sorry, go ahead.
It does. That's okay. Thor Logic of the Gods says this piss mussel fell out of the stupid tree and hit every single branch on the way down. And Bo Nielsen said, Canadians are confusing people. They speak French, but don't drop rifles when startled.
Yeah. But I wanted to point out, because Astronomy Live was talking about like the voice-activated technology that obviously wasn't being used or probably didn't exist in the Apollo days. You can tell it's that because it sounds exactly like when you're talking to someone on speakerphone, because it's the exact same technology so that it doesn't pick up their voice in the phone, right? It only picks up one person's voice. So you have a friend who maybe when they first start a sentence, there's a bit too much bass in their voice, and the phone doesn't pick it up. So the first part of their sentence is always cut off. It sounds exactly like those astronauts on EVAs.
Yeah, they got a slight noise gate on it. Like, look at it this way. An analog noise gate back in the 60s was a piece of kit. Like, it was a big hunk of gear. That's why recording studios have those big rack units. But nowadays, on a digital breadboard the size of a pack of matches, I could homebrew up a noise gate, right? And that's why you have them now and didn't before. Pretty simple, really, when you think about it. It's just that whole miniaturization of things and whatnot. So, and, you know, we've got amazing audio technology built into the modern cell phones and whatnot, into the mics to background or deaden the background sound and so on. But it also takes some artificial boom to drive that. And as such, the guys up on the spacesuits aren't going to have it as good as we do on the cell phones because it's a power drain that they just don't need. So it's just going to be basic, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they did have, to be clear, they did have voice-activated systems during Apollo, but as Dick just pointed out, they're not going to be nearly as fancy as what we have now.
Yeah.
It's going to be a very basic, just based on volume level, and pretty rough at that. So it's apples and oranges. It's just an apples and oranges comparison.
Yeah, I'm not even 100% certain that they were operating with Vox on the Apollo missions. I'm not sure that wasn't full duplex. It may have been.
It may have been. I thought they did have, I could be wrong, but I thought they did have voice activated Vox systems, at least primitive systems on the spacecraft. Now, whether, I don't know, maybe they didn't have that.
I know that the first they did a test of a voice activated system on one of the early shuttle missions, like right, well, not early, like right after Challenger, I think.
Okay, well, it may have been something else, but no,
I'm sure there was some related or like ancestor technology to it, right?
Right.
Yeah, well, in that time frame, Vox systems were quite common. Amateur radio operators used them all the time. I did, but it takes a little. In those days, you had to train yourself somewhat, because to trigger the damn thing, you need to make some sound. So if you don't want the first part of your comment cut off, you learn to say right in front of it. Yeah, just to trigger the damn thing.
Well, that's what they had the Quindar tones back then. The beep, beep.
Yeah. I love those tones. I can't play Kerbal without the chatter bot that puts in Quindar tones and like Apollo era chatter. Yeah,
there's some interesting comments here too.
Thank you.
Sure. John Rapp says Vox is voice on transmission, and Roger Rabbit says Flurf CGI equals can't get it. He's right.
Too true. They don't understand. I mean, my God, if you take your phone right now and put it in panoramic mode and take 3 pictures and stitch them together, you've got a panoramic photo. It doesn't make it fake.
I mean, my phone does it automatically. Yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't make it fake. It's the same thing, man. There are times when you have an artist rendition because, until our little friend got there, we didn't truly know what Pluto was going to look like up close. But, when you've got to compose a photo out of multiple clips to make one big one, it still is honest. What's the problem?
Absolutely. And our producer has announced that we have gong voting ready to go here. So enter the following code if you want to vote this video or any other videos afterwards off.
I'll type it up here too. Oh, Tattie's got it in. So Tattie's got the link and the game code there for you. We got the gong working, so who knows? Maybe Buzz in Live was written by a Scotsman. Maybe it just works better that way.
This is starting to piss me off, but I don't think it's quite gong worthy yet. Here's what I'm wondering: does it go from here to just more examples of sound during EVAs and stuff, or does he start to delve into a potential scientific or mathematical explanation of what's happening here? He's not going to do that second one, and there's a very specific reason why.
Besides failure?
He's just going to point to other anomalies and go, look, that's weird.
Well, let's okay, I'm going to sit even further away. Protect your screens, everybody. Let's go.
All right, let's do it.
Major difference between the Apollo missions and modern spacewalks, such as you just saw at the International Space Station, is that when the astronauts are working on the space station out in space in a true vacuum, when they are not transmitting directly through their mics with their voices, you hear dead silence. In the Apollo missions, you can hear all kinds of sounds. The sound of 2 very hard hammer blows transmitted through Dave's gloves into the suit and to his microphone can be heard between his grunts.
Explanation of why you can hear it.
And we return to the Apollo Lunar Surface Journal, which more and more begins to look like damage control and misdirection. And here is what they have to say about the Apollo 17 hammering. The last paragraph there at the bottom. What seems likely is that when Gene hits the rock, the hammer rebounds against the palm of the pressurized glove, creating a sound wave in the suit loud enough to be picked up by the microphone at Gene's lips. In brief, the suit acts like a drum. But the suit never acts like a drum at the International.
Go for it.
Thank you for explaining why we were able to hear that. I love that you put in the explanations to everything that you're supposedly debunking. Thank you for the self-debunks. I love it.
I love it when they self-debunk.
Let's also point out that during Apollo, with Gene Cernan there, for example, what's he doing? He's collecting a sample off a rock. He's doing geology. He's trying to break a solid rock on the moon. Right. Most of the time when they're on the space station, I don't think they're hitting hammers that hard. They're working with much more delicate equipment. And yeah, sometimes the hammer might be needed, I guess, but it's not going to be the kind of wham, wham, hitting with full strength, trying to break the rock.
No. Yeah, as I pointed out earlier, if things hit the station too hard, no good.
Yeah.
They do things very delicately on the space station.
I'm sure they probably considered building the space station using ring shank nails, but probably gave up quickly on that idea.
But these are the same guys that will then bitch and complain because one of the doors on the space station is looking awful flappy, like it's just made of material. Well,
yeah,
it is.
It is. Yeah,
because they're looking at the inner thermal
blanket. Yeah, right.
Yeah, the outer thermal cover, and that irritates me too, because that's been around since the shuttle. But these guys, it just shows they haven't been paying attention. They haven't been watching spacewalks from 20, 30 years ago when it was the shuttle program. I remember watching those spacewalks as a kid. I grew up on the Space Coast, so we had NASA TV on all the time. And yeah, that's what it looked like every time they came out the door, because there's a thermal cover that just sits over the actual door. So they demonstrate by pointing that on the space station. See, that shows they haven't been paying attention.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yes.
Perfect.
But I have to remember what I was going to say. I was going to say something else about EVAs on the ISS, and like, come on, man, you're not thinking clearly here. Like, what is the point of putting in, oh, look, this is why it happened, because this guy was hammering on a rock, and then cut to, but you don't hear anything when this guy delicately places this drill on the side of the station and turns it a quarter of a degree. It's ridiculous. That's all. Anybody else?
Well, anybody feeling the Thor thing here with all this talk of hammers on the moon? You know, come on. You want me to put the hammer down? You know, come on. You know, it's there, man. Come on.
We've got some funny comments here. Astrorex says, I want that gong clip. and Chris Katsoulis says, I feel a really good poop brewing, said no astronaut ever.
Well, fun fact, someone may be able to help me out with this, but if I'm correct, who was it who did the first American suborbital flight? Was that Alan
Shepard?
Alan Shepard. Okay, I thought so. Alan Shepard, who did the first orbital flight, there was a point apparently where it was taking forever to get set up, and Shepard was like, "Mission Control, I gotta pee."
And he did.
And they had to make a decision of like, well, let's think about this. Pee in the suit. Mm-hmm. And he did.
When you're orbiting, fuck it, piss your pants. When you're orbiting, fuck it, piss your pants.
Hey, if you gotta go, you gotta go.
Yeah, man. They do it in endurance racing, and then the next guy's got to sit in the car when it's his turn. He's like, thanks for that.
That's funny. Well, Phil Black is asking if Jut Monkey is throwing poop at the wall.
He would be if he was here. Too bad.
Yeah, I know.
Oh man. That's pretty funny stuff. Well, the gong has been sounded. The vote is in. The people cannot stand the shape of your chin. I don't know what the fuck. But I guess.
I was so ready
What
for the end of
the
that
fuck
rhyme.
was
I wasn't ready for it to be that.
My brain wasn't coming up with the last word, and then I guess talking about endurance racing cars there, Jay Leno and the chin must have hit my mind. That's the only way I can tie that together.
What the crap?
Oh, God.
Yeah.
We had
what's the
another
next video? Yeah.
And this is how the Shills died. Oh, Lord. Space poop, the number one cause for shit for braids and flurfs.
Wasn't there a point where like stories were going around about the dangers of space poop?
What?
Because it is tiny frozen particles whipping around in orbit. But I don't think I don't think they've done that since the mirror, and like they don't still just shoot out the waste into orbit on the ISS. I'm pretty sure, but there was a period.
That would just be
a serious concern.
That would be high-speed particles that would just rip into things and then leave a mess when they finally impacted on something solid. So you don't want that.
Punchy asked if decommissioned space poop falls back to Earth.
That's actually what meteor showers are. It's just it's just the ISS emptying its septic tank.
The spirit of Neil Armstrong just giving you some back, baby.
Well, thank goodness it burns up in the atmosphere mostly when it hits the ground.
I wasn't
Can you
saying
imagine that smell?
Was it falling to Earth, or like it's frozen solid particles of poop whipping around in orbit and potentially hitting satellites or something like that?
Yeah, right. I mean, there just has to be a better way. That's just not what you want.
So our logic of the god says orbiting poop, is that brownie in motion?
Mr. Victory says Mr. Spanky is actually space poop.
Knowing our viewers, somebody's doing the math right now. So before we start doing the actual calculations on orbiting poop, why don't we get to that?
Well, the German truce has yep, perfect. So we all breathe 4 molecules of burnt up space poop every day.
All right, you know what's terrible? I just Googled space poop.
No.
First of all, I hate that I did that. Second of all, first result, NASA.gov, space poop challenge. The U.S. National Aeronautics and Space Administration seeks proposed solutions for fecal, urine, etc. What is it? And menstrual management systems to be used in the cruise launch entry suits over a continuous duration of up to 144 hours. They're holding a contest to see who can figure out a better system.
So if I could put that into New York Bronx type speak. So ladies and gentlemen, we need like a piss pump, all right?
That actually is one of the big dangers for Orion. That's why that contest exists, because they're looking at a situation where theoretically, let's say they're going to the moon in Orion, and they have a hull breach, okay, and they're losing pressure, and they all have to get into their spacesuits and survive in their spacesuits, Apollo 13 style, until they come all the way back to Earth. Well, how are you going to go to the bathroom for days? You're going to have a way of collecting it in the suit, but keep it away from the body so you don't get sepsis and die, because that will happen if you just sit in a diaper and let the poop keep collecting for days.
Right.
Yep.
Hawks Call says, I always knew your streams were the shit.
And we just got a great super chat from John Rapp for Australian $2. He says, atmosphere re-entry test number 27. Release the poop.
Or logic of God just said, in space, no one can hear you straight.
Oh God, Tattie, save us. What's the next video?
See what you say.
Yeah.
Next week on the Shills, we'll be discussing Space Pete.
Hans Wormhat. This is another short video just with the idea of you should send this video to people who believe in outer space, who believe in NASA. I have a few videos here, but they should be very quick. That should make you start doubting things if you don't doubt them.
Who is that? I know that voice.
And one thing people ask sometimes about, well, what do you think stars are if they're not hot balls of gas? Which I always like to bring up. Hot air is like lying. When people are speaking a bunch of hot air, they're just...
He sounds like my neighbor.
Wow.
Took me a moment. Some people in the chat pointed it out. That's fucking Hans Wormhat.
Oh. Okay, then I want to know one thing, because look at that image there, that thing that's hanging, in that room. I want to know who left him alone in the child's room, because I'm scared right now.
All I have to say about, what? I don't even want to debunk a Hans video, because all I have to say about Hans is he thinks gorillas are men in suits.
What? Are you kidding me?
Nope.
You've got to be shitting.
I did a video about it called Planet of the Stupid.
Oh, I
gotta look at that later.
We've got to let this guy play for a bit so we can actually get into what he's all about then, because this deserves a little okay, after the super chat we'll get some we'll get a base on this guy here. That's what it is.
There you go. From Mr. Victory for $1.99. Poo math, isn't that part of orbital mechanics? Thank you, Mr. Victory.
Well, if you can't calculate the poo, you'll never succeed in that Kerbal program. Absolutely.
That's the wonderful thing. Kerbals don't poop or eat or do anything. They just go to space and be happy about it.
You're lucky. Yeah. They don't have to worry about having a piss pump, Okay.
Right, let's let fucking Hans asshat have another.
Let the bad man speak.
Just making stuff up and lying, and kind of a joke when
at least he knows what he's doing.
And it's like a fart joke. All these outer space things are just big balls of gas, allegedly, but that's not reality. Stars twinkle, and they twinkle fast. How is something that's so, allegedly, so far away, and it's just this big ball of gas? They don't look like that when you go outside, and stars, when you observe them, you'll notice there's different, it's like there's three.
You should take a look at some of the deep space photography being done by Astrogeist, EiE Hunter. I'm pretty sure Astronomy Live has done some deep space shots like nebulae and whatnot.
Oh yeah, tons of it.
If you look at the sky with the right camera, you will see what's up there, man. And it is all just varying amounts of gas in varying concentrations.
This guy is such a fucking moron that if he did it himself, if he went to the store and bought the equipment and set it up and somehow actually set it up properly and made it work and got himself a beautiful shot of Saturn with some moons and blah, blah, or nebula or whatever, and I mean went to town and got some amazing shots, he would come on and say, look, NASA has these companies in their back pocket and this stuff is programmed to show you lies, and he would go on to show how it's showing him fake bullshit. I guarantee it.
Absolutely. And Ugly German Truth said a few can vary in brightness, and sometimes it's even influenced by planets passing in front of the star, but that's not something you're going to see. That's not what's making them twinkle. That's just the atmosphere.
Yeah, we're not talking about Cepheid variables here or anything. We're just talking about twinkling. Right?
That is a wonderful thing that we can measure. And Hans, what's your explanation for that we can measure the dimming of a star to indicate an orbiting planet in front of it?
And why, if twinkling is an essential property of the star itself rather than the atmosphere, why does it increase? Why is it most severe when the star is close to the horizon, but as the star rises and crosses the meridian, if it's high above the horizon, the twinkling becomes much less, and on really steady nights, you can hardly tell at all.
Maybe this crotch waffle ought to think about why they don't put observatories on the beach.
Where do you get those?
They're usually up on top of something like a fucking mountain, like way up high. Jesus.
Oh, that's funny.
Where do you get the insults from? Crotch waffle. That's so good.
I mean, I've got adaptive optics system for my deep space camera that tracks a star, hopefully a bright star, very, very fast, many times a second, correcting with a tilt tip mirror to keep the star perfectly centered because the atmosphere will cause it to appear to wobble around a bit. And yet it works for all the stars that are in the actual imaging chip. Now, the guide chip that's doing that correction off a guide star, that's not even in the field of view of the picture I'm taking. It's just outside of that picture. And so why is it working for correcting for all these other unrelated stars that are nearby? Because it's to do with the atmosphere and that area of the atmosphere that I'm looking through, which is a very tiny, tiny area. The telescope's looking, like looking through a straw. You're looking at a very tiny area of the sky. And so you can use a star that's very close to what you're imaging and correct for the effects of the atmosphere to some extent with even the simple adaptive optics system that I have. So that shows, again, it's the atmosphere. It's got nothing to do with the star itself.
I like what John Rapp said to me here. Great idea. Someone ought to start a science about looking at stars.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Keck.
Not only is there a science about looking at stars, there's a science about the science of looking at stars, archaeoastronomy.
Yeah. All you have to do, there's a great documentary about Keck, and it'll explain in great detail and yet in an easy, understandable way how its laser system accounts for the atmospheric variation and cleans up the image. Boom, done. Nice.
Hey,
Awesome.
Old Desert Red has a question for you, Blue. What type of syrup for the crotch waffle?
Very.
You do not want to try to eat one of those things. No. No.
It'd have to be cherry for all the picking they do.
Probably.
No, it can't be red. It can't be red.
Oh.
Nope, not touching that one.
Maybe we should go back and let the moron speak again.
Maybe we should.
Yeah.
Different layers of stars. You got the really bright, close ones that you can see easily with your naked eye. And then you got the ones that are very easy to see when you just have a pair of binoculars. And then there's like the little fainter ones beyond that. It really doesn't look like we're suspended in 3.
Very quickly, Hans, you left out the ones, there's that one where you can see a ring around it, and there's that one where you can see little smaller ones orbiting around it, and you left out the really big one with the obvious 3-dimensional craters in it. That's all.
Yeah. Oh, this guy's awesome. Like he is size of star, varied brightness, and then the depth of the cosmos completely lost on them. Like these aren't dots that were drawn on on a sheet hung between two chairs that you're laying under in your parents' kitchen, moron. Like, fuck.
And again, I pose my retrograde Mars question to Hans. Why does Mars move backwards? You have no explanation for it.
Yeah. Except those stupid swirls, the swirly swirls.
All right, let him waffle on.
Yeah. Waffle.
3-dimensional space with these balls, all a bunch of varying random distances from us. No, it's like there's the foreground layer and then kind of a middle layer and then like a background layer. It's optical. I think it could be something like this, like crystals. Like there's giant crystals inside the firmament that slowly rotate. It's like the firmament slowly spins around us. I do not believe that we move. Not at all. The Earth is flat and unmoving. And the Bible is very specific about that. The Bible is flat and unmoving. It doesn't...
The Bible also said a guy rose after 3 days, so...
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, Hans.
You probably needed cigarettes.
Hans, you are a fucking gold mine. I gotta say, man.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so first of all, the Bible says the earth is flat and unmoving. Job 24 or 26 or something, and he hung the earth upon nothing. It hangs over empty space, something to that effect. That does not sound flat to me. Second of all, no to everything else you're saying.
No, just no.
Well, he is a gold mine, all right. And you know what a gold mine is, don't you? That's a hole in the ground with a lyre at the bottom of it.
Oh, that's funny. I love how he says, so you know what I think? I'm thinking, I just listened to you for 2 minutes already. Whatever's coming out of your mouth, I already know is going to be pure bullshit. At this point, it's comedy, pal. I mean, how does somebody watch this back and go, yeah, I'm uploading that. Nailed it.
I want to know where I can go to see that giant disco ball that's projecting all this shit up on the... Jesus Christ.
Well, to be fair, we've talked a lot about space poop tonight, and we're going to upload this.
Maybe John Travolta and his little club are still in Saturday Night Fever, and they really are running the show. Who knows, man?
And I can't stand, like, he just wrote off the explanation of the motion of stars as the firmament moving around us. That doesn't answer the retrograde question. It doesn't answer why Jupiter has moons. It doesn't answer why Saturn has rings. These are all things you don't need a lot of money to see.
Right.
It also doesn't answer why some stars have very noticeable proper motion, like Barnard's star. And I found a host of other stars that you just take pictures just a few years apart. You can tell that they're moving relative to the other stars. What's going on there?
Yeah, they're all just kind of mysteriously wandering around on a fucking dome, and you have no explanation for why, except we not only know why, we can tell you where it's going to go next. Mm-hmm. Which is the really important thing.
You can hear the confusion in his voice. Like, he's not sure. He's like, you know what I think it might be? So he's obviously saying he doesn't know, but he's absolutely sure that we're wrong. Yet every prediction we make shows that we're correct. So they always fall back to, oh no, but all that space stuff is just lies. Like, it's the ego protection Dunning-Kruger thing going on is so strong. It's unbelievable. No deodorant can mask the fucking stench of that.
I don't know what it is, but I know what it isn't.
Yeah, fuck. Are you kidding me? You know how stupid that sounds? Fucking moron.
No, I mean, that is fair. Like, if he wants to disprove the notion that stars are distant balls of gas undergoing fusion, emitting light and all that, fine, but he hasn't done anything to invalidate that model or that claim. He hasn't done anything to invalidate that. He's just saying, well, I don't think it's that. It looks to me like it's this. It's my impression that it looks more like this. That's not evidence. That's just your opinion that is completely unsubstantiated to this point in the video.
Right. I mean, had he said... Sorry, Tatty?
I was going to say, the closest he's got to it is talking balls.
Yeah.
That's about the only time balls have been mentioned.
I mean, had he come on and said, well, you know, so what it's obviously not teddy bears. Okay, I'll accept that because, yes, stars are obviously not teddy bears. But this whole, oh, no, it's obviously not that. It must be like a triple layer dome with these crystals. What? Are you kidding me? You know, but just, oh, God. Would you read something other than an Archie comic? Holy shit. I don't know, man. I don't know. I can't stand that kind of thing. You don't argue something that's so easy to understand if you just take a little bit out of your time to do it instead of just slamming it down because it doesn't make sense to your pea brain. You know, try.
Yeah, well, you notice how he sort of like brings in the firmament there. Well, that's the preamble into a 4-minute Bible passage quotation. Best. So,
well,
what I'm doing, or what I'm thinking is, sack that, and we'll catch the last 4 minutes.
Yeah, we're coming up on 2 hours, so let's go to that last little bit of his, and then we'll end on that and wrap up and whatnot.
Yeah, fuck the Bible flat Earth stuff. You know what? The two biggest Bible flat earthers are now ex-flat earthers.
Yeah,
Tiger Dan 925 and Clear Cognition.
Right. Okay, Tatty. Yeah, let's line it up, man. You know what you're doing.
Eyes. Okay, so
no.
This is shaky footage, but this is what the stars really look like. And notice it looks like
out of fucking focus, you moron.
I'm figuring that would never focus because I think the word columnation should be said at this point.
Well, yeah.
If it's a telescope. I mean, it's probably a P900, right? You know.
I don't even think that's a P900. That's a fucking phone camera.
Pretty much.
I mean, it looks like it's some kind of point and shoot, and it's obviously a refractor system because there's no catadioptric shape to the circle of confusion there. But yes, it is a circle of confusion. It is just an out of focus image of the stars, and it's pretty low on the horizon, judging by the amount of chromatic shifting there going on from the twinkling. And it even looks like you can see a power line running through it. There's like a dark line going through the top. I bet you anything he was filming this thing, the star that was next to a power line close to the horizon.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that is the line of a power line, isn't it?
Yeah, this guy's taking photography lessons from the plain truth, I think.
Oh God! Yeah. Travis takes some interesting pictures.
This guy saw Cece doing the whole look at the chemtrails and thought, "Yep, I can do that too."
I mean, if anyone watches my streams, I do, these deep space live streams from my telescope and stuff. One of my biggest headaches that I got to watch out for is the focus. Like, it is so critical to get that right. I've got a special mask that I put over the front of the telescope that produces these diffraction lines that I line up to be symmetrical, and that tells me it's in focus. And I spend a lot of time trying to make sure that's as precise as possible. And then over the course of the night, as the telescope rotates, the mirror shifts position a little bit. I got to do it again. And these guys come on here and they film this stuff so poorly, and they use it to disparage those of us who actually invest the time and effort to learn how to do this properly and take really high quality pictures of the stars. It's incredibly insulting.
It is. It is. And I mean, just listening to you talk about it, you obviously know your stuff. It's great. I love it. It's fantastic. And to listen to this piece of trash just slamming what you do. Ouch, right?
You know what's weird? I know exactly what Hans is about to say. I know exactly what he's going to say because that's how fucking horribly predictable these people are. He's going to say it looks like a light underwater so that he can refer to the waters of heaven over the firmament.
You're right. Let's let him.
Actually, can I have a couple super chats I need to clear up here. Thanks. One
yours.
from Mr. Victory for $1.99. He says Hans loves crystals. He bedazzles his jeans. Thank you, Mr. Victory. And then it looks like we got another one from John Rapp for Australian $2. He says, "Kill it now! Fire, Kevin! Fire!" Thank you so much, John Rapp.
All right, I think I just did that by predicting his really, really weak upcoming argument.
Yeah, you might have brought the hellfire down on him. Let's see. The trap is set. Let's let him walk in. There we go.
It looks like the bottom of a pool. It looks like the images that you see when you look at the bottom of a pool with light being shown on the bottom of the pool. Look, it looks exactly like light at the bottom of a pool. It's just twinkling different colors. And it's not out of focus. This footage is not out of focus. It's not fuzzy at all.
What?
God, it is out of
Are
focus.
you
Jesus.
insane? No, don't answer that.
Is he stupid or liar? Is he stupid or a liar? Right? That's it.
Liar. Because like when I first heard about that these images of stars are just lights under the waters of heaven, yada yada. The first thing I did was look up. IB Hunter had a really great video of him taking a series of images, stacking them of the Orion Nebula. So the first thing he does is he finds one of the central stars, and it looks exactly like that when he first finds it. And then he does this thing called focusing his telescope. And it ceases to look like that. Thank you for that, everyone.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
So another thing you can do, this is a little trick you can do to prove to yourself that the wobbliness is not from looking through water, but it's the atmosphere. All you have to do is get a heat source next to the lens, and guess what? That turbulence will get 1,000 times worse. I've done this trick before on video with a starter for my charcoal grill. I just put that underneath the telescope and let the heat rise over the telescope. Oh my God, it makes the stars look like you're under not just water, but like the rapids or something. It looks terrible. And so
Wow.
you can artificially induce that as well.
That's awesome. Oh, that's awesome. Right on. Right on. Well, we're coming up.
I just quickly want to answer Ash Scott's question. She asked what the fuck do the points do? Nothing, right?
No. It's just a little side game you can play to see who can gamble your way to the most points or something. I'm not even sure.
Yeah. That's all.
I have a lot of them, but I also have the login, so.
I haven't done it once. It cracks me up that every now and then Marcus Dresden will come in. He's a big fan of mine, and all he'll ever say in chat is either "fuck Flurfs" or middle fingers to Streamlabs.
That's funny. Yeah. So, what do you say there, Kevin? Should we get around the room on wrap-ups for the thoughts in the evening and everything and whatnot? I think it's about time, eh?
Yeah, absolutely. Fuck you, Hans. You think gorillas are people in suits, and you think that trans people are out to get you, and you think that the people sitting in McDonald's late at night are part of the conspiracy. Everything is a conspiracy to you, and you live in a sad, weird little world. That's all I have to say. Let's go right to our guest of the evening, Astronomy Live. What do you have to say about Hans?
Well, Hans could probably use some pointers from me. If he just watches the beginning of most of my live streams, I start off showing how I'm focusing the telescope properly. He might want to get a Batinov mask or something. I don't even know if they make one for his crappy little camera that he uses, but he could fashion one himself out of plastic if he wants and learn how to actually focus it properly, because clearly the autofocuser ain't doing the job and he doesn't know what he's doing with it. So yeah, if he watches some of my streams, he can learn how to focus on the stars properly. And right off the bat, he's going to see a massive improvement. Next recommendation, you get your best photos high above the horizon, not low on the horizon where there's a power line running through your star. Just a little tip there.
A power line in front of your star indicating there's a light source probably on either side of the image.
Yeah, probably.
So, sorry, I got an email here. It looks like it's a response from Hans. He said, "What's your Batinov mask?"
Actually, that's probably a terrible idea, because the Batinov mask makes the star look like the top of your grill when you're way out of focus. He would probably use that as evidence that stars are actually celestial grills that are shining down at us.
Ouch. Yeah, you know what the stars really are? They're the little lights at the end of your driveway up in heaven. Oh, look, I can see my dad's house.
Well, I think because we've got a relatively small group tonight, I'm gonna do the wrap up my way. What do you guys think? What's everybody think? Big Blue, what do you think? You've been awfully quiet.
I think that was probably an incredible level of stupid we witnessed tonight. Poor Hans. I don't know where you live, Hans, but those guys sitting in McDonald's late at night in my area are called police officers. You might want to try explaining the flat earth to one of them.
They were also me when I was 17 and really drunk for no reason.
Yeah.
Well, all I can say is the conversation about space poop was more thrilling than watching his video. So I learned more about space poop than I learned watching his video, other than he's stupid.
Yeah, that was something else. Hans, my God, Hans.
Yeah.
Amy, what do you think?
Oh my gosh, what a derp. It's amazing that someone could be that. Yes, exactly. Someone could be that stupid and still be able to function in society in a normal way. That's incredible.
I don't think he does. I think he lives in his basement.
I think so. Exactly.
I got a roll of toilet paper right here for you, Hans Wormhat. And I'm going to wrap it in gold foil and send it off to your house right away. Because listening to the bullshit that comes out of your mouth, you must have a nasty brown ring around those fucking lips, pal. Holy.
Gross.
Toilet paper is worth its weight in gold right now.
Yeah, that's why I'm wrapping it in gold foil, right? Symbolize here, But yeah, he's horrible. He's awful, and you need to dig a hole, bury him, bury the shovel, and then walk away. That way, the shovel's gone too, and you've been done with the whole thing. Never have to hear it again.
Quit asking me to sprinkle them chesticles. Said he lives in the basement of a van. Is it a van down by the river?
Too funny.
So the last person I haven't gotten around to here, Tattie-Bogle. Why have you done this to us?
Because I enjoy inflicting stupid on you, especially you.
It's it's a hate relationship. You're a sadist and we're masochists.
Indeed, man. Oh no! I tell you, when I come by these things, the videos that I find, certainly, it's like, I can't believe how stupid someone else has got to see this. I know the perfect people. And I apologise in no way for any pain caused.
That was good. That was the shit I like. I love the fake space stuff because I can't do like arguing all day about perspective and the horizon and the I can't do that shit. You know what? We have pictures of Earth from space. Before you do anything else, you're going to have to prove to me that those are fake. And the only response I've gotten to that so far is from Barry Sheen. Barry, you little bastard, if you're watching right now, you are so annoyed by this notion that I want you to prove the impossible. No. People have made entire careers out of proving fakery. Look up a man named James Randi. Fakery can be proven. Do it. I'll make a video where I make a fake NASA photo and then prove that it's a fake NASA photo.
There have been
funny.
instances of amateurs, or people claiming to photograph the space station, say going by a planet, who faked it and got busted immediately. There was I think it made it onto APOD one time, Astronomy Picture of the Day. Somebody claimed to film the space station going by a planet, but he faked it. On the forum, the APOD forum, it didn't even make it off the first page before people were decrying it as fake. And it's not like that they knew that a fake was going to come in. They just saw it, and they saw the evidence, and they recognized the signs that, hey, this guy faked it. And sure enough, it got retracted.
I just now, as you were describing that, I was figuring out a way to fake an ISS transit in my head. I was like, okay, so I just need some footage of the moon. I take a PNG of the ISS with a transparent background. I turn it black, and I pass it over the moon at a certain speed to replicate the speed of the ISS. I could do that, and I'd be caught so fast.
Instant. Instant. People that do it and then know, just like Astronomy Live was saying, would have it figured in no time, man. There's no way,
Absolutely. We've got a couple two good comments in here that I need to get out. One is Roger Rabbit. Mamas, don't let your babies grow up to be flurfers. Channeling some Willie Nelson there. And Ugly German Truth says, like Jurassic Park 2, that's a lot of poop.
That's a good one.
That is good.
Well, anybody left on your list there, Kevin?
Yep. One last thing before we go. I'm not taking all the credit for the videos, because a certain caveman is also responsible.
The Troglodyte.
So you know what to do next time you see him.
That's true. I do have to blame Trog for some of this. There is someone else on my list. You know who? PayPal customer service. Get your shit together, guys. I'm not going to go into it, but Jesus Christ, they just sent me an email, and they are the stupidest people alive. Quarantine is making companies stupid, and more stupid than they need to be, and they're taking advantage of it, and it's getting really frustrating. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I hear you there too. Holy. Absolutely, man. Well, did anybody want to jump in before we're done? This is your moment. Floor is yours.
Say what you got to say. Get the fuck out.
Well, on that note, I think we should close off with a big thanks to Astronomy Live for joining us on what was a very fun evening, ripping apart some absolutely stupid people. Thanks so much, buddy. That was great.
Thanks for having me on. It was a real pleasure to be here, and I look forward to it again in the future.
Kick ass. Can't wait. And let's give a little, a little what if when it comes to Hans Wormhat. Wouldn't it be nice one day he's leaned over and he's tying his shoes and the Lord of Knowledge just comes up behind him with a big stick of truth and stuffs it in that empty fucking cavity he was talking through? Oh, baby, you earned it. Ouch. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, education is something you should enjoy and embrace. Take some time out of your life and follow through and learn something new every now and then. It's absolutely an amazing thing to do, and let's face it, we got the time right now. Thanks for watching, everybody. We're the Shills with Astronomy Live, and we're out of here. Let's say goodnight, everyone. Bye.
Good night.
See you, troops.
Good night. Catch you on the flip side.